going to start with accessing Zoom, scheduling a meeting, inviting people to a meeting, hosting a meeting, and reviewing and sharing recordings. This is the typical Zoom workflow from start to finish. In this webinar, we're not going to cover all the features, but let's get started. Accessing Zoom, open a browser window and type in wayne-edu.zoom.us and then click Sign In. You may need to enter your Wayne State credentials, access ID, and email. Otherwise, if you've used Zoom before, you'll automatically be taken into your profile page. So you have a panel on the left-hand side here that gives you access. As you can see, we're in profile. You also have meetings. Our particular Wayne State license does not include webinars. You also have access to whiteboards and new features such as notes, surveys, where your recordings are located, and another new feature, clips. You can access your profile at any time by clicking the profile image in the upper right-hand corner or clicking on profile on the left-hand side. Click on the person image to upload profile picture. You can drop and drag a file or choose a file on your desktop. You should always use a profile image when you are not using your camera. It will be displayed during meetings. You can edit your profile by entering the company name, Wayne State University, your department, and job title. Scrolling down a little further, make sure you check the time zone and that it is Eastern Time. Now scrolling down to meeting, we recommend against using the personal meeting ID. It's great for quick, easy meetings with people you trust. However, if you distribute it too widely, people can join your meeting unexpectedly, also known these days as Zoom bombing. Do not change your sign-in email. This is associated with your Wayne State Zoom license. There's no need to change the host key, and make sure that your license type under account says licensed. You'll see that you have up to 300 participants allowed in a meeting. And scrolling down a little further, under sign in, again, do not change the sign-in email as it is attached to your Wayne State Zoom license. On the left-hand side, under your Zoom features, all the way at the bottom, there is where you can go to the Zoom Learning Center. There's video tutorials, knowledge base. You can also go to Wayne State's Zoom knowledge base by going to tech.wayne.edu/Zoom. And scrolling down a little further under Others in your profile, this is where you can configure your calendar to integrate with your scheduled Zoom meetings. I've already integrated my calendar, but you'll see a button that says Integrate Calendar. You'll choose the Outlook system and then confirm. So any meetings that you schedule in wayne-edu.zoom.us will be reflected on your Outlook calendar. Next, we're going to go to Settings here in the panel on the left. You have some tabs at the top. We're going to concentrate on your meeting settings. This is where you can define default settings, but you can certainly get started with a meeting without changing anything. Some key suggested settings are the video host. So here under security, I'm going to go to In Meeting Basic. This is going to take you to meeting chat. Are you going to allow the chat during a meeting? Autosave the chat transcript. Scrolling down, allow a co-host. Allow meeting polls and quizzes. So you can create polls. Surveys here on the left-hand side where you see it says new. That's a new feature. I can allow the host to present a survey and toggle that on. And as I said, I'm not going to go through all of these. This is something that you should do when you become more experienced with Zoom. And like I said, you do not need to change any of this. You can just go ahead and start a meeting or schedule a meeting. Some of the key settings, however, are the host video. Make sure that that is turned off. You can turn it on when you are in the Zoom meeting. Participants video is automatically turned off. That's the default setting. Only an administrator can turn that on. Audio type should be telephone and computer audio. Mute participants upon entry. Make sure that's turned on. File transfer. Toggling that on allows someone to upload a file, to review a file, and turn the breakout rooms on. And these settings affect all your meetings. So if you want to change those settings per meeting, you'll have to go back into settings and change the featured defaults. There are several ways that you can schedule your meeting. Each of the options are very similar. You can do it on the web, as we are in here, wayne-edu.zoom.us. You can also schedule a meeting in Outlook by going to Calendar, New Event, and Zoom on the toolbar. You can also schedule a meeting on your desktop and mobile apps. For this webinar, we're going to focus on the first two. So scheduling a meeting, I'm going to go to my panel on the left and click on Meetings. What you'll see is your upcoming meetings, any previous meetings that you hosted, any polls or quizzes that you created during that meeting or prior to that meeting to launch during a meeting. You can use the search field here for calendar, start time, end time. But to schedule a meeting, I'm going to click on Schedule a Meeting here on the right. And you're going to name the meeting. So I'm going to change this to, let's say, Zoom training. I can add a description if I want. In this example, I'm not going to. I can set the date and the start time and the duration. So I'm going to do this as a quick 30-minute Zoom training. Again, check the time zone. And if you're scheduling a reoccurring meeting, such as a staff meeting, a budget meeting, etc., you can click on Reoccurring Meeting. And it can either be daily, repeating every day, or I can click the drop-down arrow. And let's say I'm going to do this as a weekly meeting, and I'm going to meet every other week. So this is going to be a recurring meeting every 2 weeks on, just going to select Tuesday. I can enter a end date. So let's say I'm going to do it until the end of the semester here, or after a certain amount of occurrences. I can click that circle and then select how many occurrences I want. I could go throughout the year if I chose, but I'm going to stick with my end date of May 24th. Then, since this is a reoccurring meeting and I know that I'm going to have the same attendees for each time, I can start entering. And since this is part of Wayne State Directory, it's going to start populating as you enter the name or access ID, and you can click on that person's name to add the attendees. Scheduling a meeting that requires registration will allow you to have your participants register with their email, name, or other questions. So if I click on required, since I made this a reoccurring meeting, they only need to register once, and that allows them to attend any of the occurrences. Under template, if I click the drop down arrow, but for this example, I'm not going to require any type of registration. Scrolling down for further details on this meeting, I could add a whiteboard, but I can certainly do that during my meeting. I can give my users a passcode. Meeting passwords are required and cannot be disabled. Don't change the passcode that's auto-generated. Do I want my attendees to go into a waiting room? Waiting rooms are an added layer of security, so you can recognize that person and allow them in the meeting. It does require being admitted into the main meeting. So if you have a co-host, this is something that they can pay attention to and allow those participants into the meeting instead of distracting you as the host. As I mentioned, turn the video off until you enter the meeting for the host, and participants are automatically turned off. Audio, you want as telephone and computer audio. For options, click on Show for more options. This allows you to check, do you want participants to join anytime? That means they could join, let's say, half an hour into your meeting, 15 minutes into your meeting, before you even start the meeting as the host. Add a Q&A, automatically record your meeting once you start it, and entering any alternative hosts. You can add their name or email address, and when done, click Save. Keep in mind that when you automatically record the meeting, this is going to record to the cloud. It takes a couple hours to process, but you will, as the host, get an email letting you know that the recording has completed and that these recordings are deleted after 200 days. Excuse me. So if it is a recording that you want to save in the future, you can record it to your desktop. However, that does not include a transcript of the meeting. So we've gone over scheduling a meeting, how to access wayne-edu.zoom.us, and the meeting settings here by going to Settings on the left-hand side. Once I clicked Save when I scheduled my meeting, it goes to all the specifications for that meeting, and now we're going to cover inviting people to your meeting. This is very straightforward and is the shortest step in the workflow. So first you access Zoom, fix your profile, add a profile image, fix the settings for your meetings, and then schedule your meetings. So I'm still in the My Meetings menu. I clicked on Save, and you can copy the invite. Here where it says Invite Link, I can go ahead and click the Copy the Link option. That's going to save it into a clipboard. I can also go down here at the bottom of the screen and click Copy Invitation. This is going to give you more details of the extended meeting information. You'll see the topic name. Since I created this as a reoccurring, all the dates of the reoccurring meeting, the join meeting link, meeting ID and password, and if somebody is calling in via phone. I can go ahead and click Copy Meeting Invitation, and it copies all of these details to your clipboard. I'm going to click Cancel. So now I'm going to show you an example of how to do it through your Outlook calendar. So here I am in my Outlook calendar. I'm going to click on New Event on the left. I can perhaps create a whole new meeting, add my attendees, select the date and time, and then up here in the toolbar, if you do not see the Zoom link, click on the three dots for more options, and Zoom will be listed underneath as an add-in. So just click on Zoom here if you do not see it in your toolbar, and it will then be accessible in your toolbar. I can create the meeting and just go to the text box and paste the meeting details that I had created earlier, or delete that and go to the Zoom option at the top. Click on Add a Zoom Meeting. A pop-up window will appear. Click Allow and enter your access ID and password. And you only need to do this if you have never done this before and you're just adding that tool. And now you'll see that it's automatically created a meeting, which gives your attendees a new meeting link, meeting ID and password, and all the information they'll need to join. And when you're done, just click Save, and it'll appear on your calendar, as you can see here, with the Zoom link available for your participants. If you just copy the link when you created the meeting in Zoom, you can share it anywhere you can copy text. Canvas, email, Teams, Academica, social media. So let's say you're having an event through your school, college, department, division. You can post that link, letting people know how to attend. You have some pre-hosting options on the left-hand side, as I mentioned, whiteboards. When I click on that, I can create a brand new whiteboard, or I can select one from the template. Click on New Whiteboard in the upper right-hand corner. Again, I can use a template. I'm going to exit out of here and create a whiteboard, enter text, maybe some comments, sticky notes, etc. And going back, while you're in the meeting, that's when you can launch the whiteboard, because the whiteboard will appear in your toolbar as an icon. You can also create surveys. Click Create in the upper right-hand corner. All these surveys that you created or polls that you created appear here. You can certainly use another survey during your meeting, and you can pre-create that and then launch it during your meeting from the toolbar. You can start a meeting from any of the different Zoom access points, Canvas, Web, Outlook, etc. Going back to my Meetings tab on the left, I can start a meeting by going to that meeting listed in my upcoming area. So if I start this meeting, so when you start the meeting, you'll be prompted to choose an audio option. You're going to want to pick Join with Computer Audio. Always test your device. No one can hear you while you test speaker and microphone appear. So once that meeting launches, you're going to click on Join with Computer Audio, and you can go to the microphone here and click the arrow next to it. Select your microphone and speaker if you're using headset, or go to Audio Settings. This is where you can test your audio. Nobody can hear you while you're doing this. Make sure that you can hear and test your audio. This should be done before the meeting. I'm not going to cover all the features, but just showing you the interface. Your toolbar is here. You can start your video. You can see your participants, the chat feature which you turned on, screen sharing, record your meeting, the quick actions. There's the whiteboard that I mentioned earlier, and you have a notes area. You can take notes during your meeting. The red slash indicates that you are muted and your camera is off. Clicking those on, the red slash goes away. In the central space, you can choose between gallery view or active speaker. So if you click on view here in the upper right hand corner, speaker is going to concentrate on the person who is talking. Gallery is going to bring all of your attendees into a Brady Bunch type view where you see all the cameras on. When I go to participants, you can see all the participants listed here. Chat with participants. You can make somebody a co-host. I can close out that area. Chat, clicking on the chat feature. You want to make sure that the chat is going to everyone so everyone can see the reply to a question. You have emojis. If you click the three dots all the way to the left, participants can chat with everyone. Only hosts and co-hosts can chat amongst themselves, or you can disable the chat altogether. You can also save the chat. Next, you have your screen share. The host or your participants can share their desktop, a specific application, or even a blank whiteboard. When I click on screen share, I can share my computer sound. This is for the best sound if you're showing a video, YouTube clip, etc. So during the screen share, you're going to have a new toolbar with some added features here. You have the pause share, so you can stop the screen sharing. Annotate. When I click on annotate, you'll notice on the left-hand side, I have all these tools. Same ones that you can use in a whiteboard. Maybe I want to show the mouse where I'm pointing to, or a text box. I can draw, and I can certainly save the screen share once I'm done. I'm going to stop the share, and that takes us back into the general meeting. When you record, it's always recommended for the best experience to record to the cloud. So this also provides you with a transcript, an audio transcript. And as I mentioned before, you can download the recordings if you want to keep them more than 200 days. The record indicator will appear, and it will let participants know that they are being recorded. So some hosting tips: do some practice runs, have an outline to stay organized, create polls and quizzes ahead of time, surveys, whiteboards, encourage people to keep their microphones muted when not speaking. That is for less distraction or any kind of background noise. And if you just want to simplify your meeting, only use the features you need. I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting, and you'll get prompted to leave the meeting or end the meeting for all. It's recommended that you end the meeting for all. That way you don't have any stragglers, instead of just leaving the meeting where people could remain even after the host has left. So I'm going to end meeting for all. And I'm going to take us back to wayne-edu.zoom.us. So we've gone over hosting a meeting and the meeting controls. So back to the same menu as before. Now I'm going to go into recordings. And as I showed you while we were in the meeting, that notes feature, this is where they're saved here where it says notes. That's a new feature. So any notes you take during a meeting, maybe you've assigned somebody to take the minutes for a staff meeting, the notes will go into your, as the host, notes area. So going to recordings, you have a cloud recordings and local recordings tab at the top. All your cloud recordings appear here. I can search by the topic or the meeting ID, and I can also search text in the audio transcript. Clicking on a meeting, I can delete the recording altogether, or it's going to automatically delete. All I need to do is click on the recording to view the recording. I can click on the frame here, and it's going to play. I can download the recording, so if you decide it is a recording that you need, you can download it to your desktop. I can copy a shareable link, or if I share the video by clicking share on the upper right hand side, I can set some parameters. For this recording, I can either just copy the shareable link and anybody with that link can view it, or I can click under Who Can View, Sign In Users, or Nobody Else Can View. I can share with specific people, and as you start typing their names, you can select them. But I'm not ready to send it yet. I'm going to go to Share Settings, and this is where you can add even extra security if you'd like. I can set an expiration date. They're only allowed a certain amount of time to view this video, and then the link will expire. Do I want viewers to download it? Do I want them to see the transcript and the chat? Do viewers need to register to watch? If I click on that, or provide them with a passcode, and once you check that box, follow the criteria here to create a passcode for that video. Click Save when you're done, and then you can go ahead and share that link. Since I'm sharing it to a specific person, if I click on Send, it's sent through Outlook, and an email is automatically shared with them with that link. Or I can just copy the link and again send it via email, chat, Teams conversations, etc. So Xing out of there, if you go to the recording, you can preview it. I have some player controls here. This is where I can edit the video, although there's just limited where I can cut maybe the beginning or the end and use the scissors to trim. So I can move the forward, backwards, etc. Click Trim or Cancel if you don't need to do anything. You have the transcript showing on the right-hand side and the chat messages. And you can also download it from here. This is going to download the movie file, the audio transcript, and the chat message transcript. Going back to wayne-edu.zoom.us and going back to my meetings page. So the last feature was viewing the recordings from your team's meeting, how to access the recordings. You're going to go to Recordings here on the left, click on Recordings, and then click on the recording that you would like to view. We've covered cloud recordings versus local recordings. Just know that cloud is going to be deleted after 240 days, and you'll see how many days you have left. Going to local recordings, you can also search for a specific recording, the date of the recording, and I went over how to share the recordings, and if you want any editing, how to edit and view the recording. So that takes us to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much.